Hey guys, alright, this is like take 4,523 of this video. I just want to make sure I try and really get it just spot on. So, body and mind time coming at you. And what we've got is something really, really exciting added on to what we're already doing. We're already learning through play. But what is Lego-based therapy? What is that? How are we learning through play with that? But it's a therapy. Let's have a look what it is. So, what it is, it's a session where we're going to help people with communication skills. We're going to help people with self-regulation skills. And we're going to help people learn how to develop and build meaningful relationships, all through playing with Lego. Now, I'm going to use the term people because I don't want you to think that the Lego-based therapy is strictly for children, because it's not. Okay? And I don't want you to feel that Lego-based therapy is strictly for people who need therapy, because they're not. All right? It's really a word used for a tool, a program that's out there to help anybody who might have some communication skills that need tweaking, that need developing, social interaction skills. Maybe they're not sure how to socialize appropriately or any of that sort of stuff. So, bear with me, because there is a story behind this, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So let's have a look. Dr. Kelly Lambert, I did this training through a company called Progressive Play. Fantastic company, and I can tell you, I've not had a company that's probably been more supportive, helpful, friendly. Only yesterday I got a phone call from them, giving me some really top advice, and guiding me into how I can bring this to you guys better. Alright, so Progressive Play. But anyway, through the training, I had never heard of Professor Kelly Lambert before. And I'm somebody that I want to delve into things more when I'm excited, and I want to learn things, and I want to sell this idea onto you guys. I want to make sure that I'm convinced. I want to make sure that I know who's behind all of this. And Professor Kelly Lambert, she's a behavioural neuroscientist, and she's made some fantastic connections. She does a lot of research, and she uses rats in a lot of her research around behavioural practices. So let's have a look. I've got a snippet of a video here where she was a woman speaking up in STEM, so science, technology, education, engineering and maths, where people predominantly thought it was all about, it was a very male-dominated field, but there is a heck of a lot of women out there in this field, and she's amazing. So she was up here doing a TED Talk, and yeah, I'd love to play this for you. So let's just click on play and see how we go.
I've kind of made up this word behaviorceuticals instead of pharmaceuticals, because behavior changes the neurochemistry and the neurocircuitry and the neuroplasticity by doing that of our brains in much more complex ways than taking a single drug does. So I'm more excited about that. So maybe lesson one could be the brain interprets prosperity very differently than our society does. So having a lot of money to pay other people to do everything for you is maybe one of the worst things we can do for our brains. So even if it's just having a hobby, where woodworking or gardening or cooking, it seems so simplistic, but you're engaging your hands and your brain, and you're seeing a result, an outcome. There's interesting work looking at college students and knitting. I wish I knitted because I talk about it. It's supposed to be good for you, but That's great, and doctors 100 years ago used to prescribe it for women who were overwrought with anxiety, I think was the way they called it. But they could see that it was doing something positive. They didn't have the mechanisms, but I can see what those mechanisms are.
Okay, so I hope that worked. I kind of had to do a little bit of tricky videoing. So, because I had to turn the laptop microphone off and just record the computer sound. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, how awesome is that? That there's, I mean, we have to know. We have to know that when we're doing stuff with our hands and when we're doing things we enjoy, it is going to change the chemicals in our brain. It is going to switch us into, you know, those happy vibes. And when we're happy, we want to share that. We want to tell the world. We just, obviously, when we're sad, when we're depressed, we want to shun away from the world. So, how do we get that happiness that then can exude your communication? We can work out how we can change that withdrawn person into here's the world. So, anyway, let's move on. And, okay, my little slideshow's not, why isn't it going? I don't want to know. Okay, here we go. So, that's a little bit, look, I mean, it's huge, and there's so much behind it. That's just a little snippet. How do we do Lego-based therapy? So, there's three, I almost did three, so there's three really important roles. Now, when we do this, the session, the hour and a half long session, is broken up into two sections. And generally the second section is a very non-structured, self-creative build and communicate our story behind our build. The first session is the session where we try to initiate this communication. So, and it's the same format over the 10 weeks. Three very important roles. Really, really need to know these because it works whether we're having a one-on-one session or whether we're having a group of three or we're having multiple groups of three. So, I always use an analogy of, being a car designer. Our first person who designs that vehicle is our engineer. So here he comes. Our engineer. And our engineers come in with instructions. I've got this beautiful end goal here, but I haven't got there yet. But I've got the instructions on how to get there. So usually the facilitator is the engineer to start with. So here comes our little engineer, Mr. Batman. Hey, how you going? Let's go, let's get on this. What does the engineer do? So he gives instructions. So he's got these instructions here. And he will tell the second party in this, which is usually, if we're doing a one-on-one session, the second party takes on roles of the second person and the third person, but I'll explain that. But it's important the engineer passes on instructions to the second party, which, as you can see on the screen there, is the supplier. All right? And what the engineer's doing is he's saying, or she, or they're saying, I want 3 yellow bricks that are 2x2 studs, and I want 1 pink tile that is nice and flat. And I want, and they go through and they keep describing, I need 3 little red flowers. So they describe all the pieces in a step process, not all at once, but in a step process, to the supplier. Now, as you can figure out, the supplier comes along. Here he is. I am the supplier. The supplier then has a big pool of Lego in front of them and listens to what the engineer is requesting, and the supplier fossicks around through all the Lego pieces and finds all the pieces in a step-by-step phase that the engineer has requested. the supplier that hands those pieces on to the third person. So if we're having a one-on-one session here, usually the participant will then take their supplier hat off, put their builder's hat on, and they go into the next mode. Here's old Emmett. He's got the instructions to make breakfast for the engineer. So what does he need to do? He needs to get the toast, as a good supplier would always do. All right, our builder, here he comes. I can do this, I can do this. Obviously, the name builder, they're building this stuff. So the engineers ask the supplier, can you gather me those bricks? The suppliers then pass those bricks on to the builder, and now the builder needs to put those bricks together in a certain order. And generally, the engineer will come back to the builder with that order. All right. So if you're doing this in a group of 3, it's pretty easy. You've got your 3 participants. If you're doing it as a one-on-one, generally, as I said, your participant will be the supplier. They'll get the bricks. They'll put them to the side. Then they'll take that hat off. They'll put this hat on, and they will then seek the building instructions from the engineer and build that. Pretty cool. Now, all of this, along the way, is building up its communications. It's building up the explanation. It's building up how we can communicate and describe things. And then it's building up our listening skills and interpreting those descriptions. Now, as we do this, it's a 10-week program, and there is stuff that we want to be able to monitor and track so that we can see that the participant is developing and achieving their goals through this, and that we are actually building those necessary skills to become happier and communicating and sharing and regulating our emotions. So there's 5 levels. We have a checklist. As we go through, we're going, oh, yep, this person, yep, they're achieving this, they're achieving this. Oh, well done, congratulations. You are now level 1 Lego helper. And as we go through, you may be able to achieve all of these 5 levels. They are achievable. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Level 5 is magic. All right, and I love level 5 because level 5 goes into a big world of communication. If you can achieve level 5, and I really would love to be able to get all participants to do so, we make little mini stop motion animation videos. I mean, that's just the goal of communication, because you're not only, building something and being able to describe how to build that and asking somebody to get these pieces and do this, you then put that build into a story. And that story then, through animation, tells us a big picture. So that's really exciting. Now, I did touch just briefly on self-regulation and checking in, and we're not only just verbalizing, non-verbalizing, feeling, we also have our emotions. How are we going through all of this? Now, some people are really excellent at verbalizing how they're feeling or expressing how they're feeling. Some people aren't so sure on that. They might be non-verbal. They may have hearing impairments. So we have a series of flashcards that will be available at all times, where the participants can tap in. If they're struggling with a description, they can grab a description card. If they're struggling to express their feelings, so that we can work on what we can do to improve, or we're on a winner here, they can communicate that through there. If they're struggling with describing how to build that, we've got those tools handy. So really, really helpful. Now, not everybody's going to want this, but at the end of the 10 weeks, if you're wanting a report, say for example you are an NDIS client and you would like a report for NDIS to show them how this program has helped your person, excellent. We've got a really good report that can document all the outcomes, show the progression, show where they've achieved, what areas might need a little bit more working on, any recommendations for any further sessions. So that is available upon request at the end of the 10-week session. And I mean, that is an additional cost because it is a report and it is used to help people regulate and understand what's happening. But you don't have to have it. All right, so don't feel convinced that you have to have it. So what is the commitment? It's a 10-week program, 1 session a week, 1.5 hours per session. Generally, I would come to your place if you felt comfortable there. Otherwise, we can try and find a neutral place to be. And if you are not local, doesn't matter. I still like to do sort of that face-to-face one-on-one thing, but we can do it via Zoom. Usually if we're doing it via Zoom though, it'd be really, really handy to have, somebody there alongside the participant just to be able to help keep it going and make sure that you've got your own supply of Lego pieces there so that, we're on the same path. $95 a session, okay, so as I said, 1 session per week. If you are a self-managed or plan-managed NDIS person, this is covered through NDIS under capacity building. If you are privately funded, again, no issues whatsoever. So, just going to reference off, I mentioned before Progressive Play, please Google them. Fantastic. They've got so much information, it's great. Obviously some references there to some of the little videos that I got along there. It's just the way I roll. As I was going through, I said earlier that I love to delve into things a lot more and get some more background. If you want to know more, because this is only a brief snapshot, legotherapy.com. Publications from all over the world, from professors, professionals all over the world about how amazing this program is. And if you're with somebody that's visually impaired, I was not aware that Lego do braille bricks, and I found that out. That was amazing. I mean, when you think about it, people can feel and touch and identify shapes and how many bubbles it's got on the top, etc. But you can't feel colour. So there's braille bricks, and kudos to Lego for that. Okay. Lastly, how do you get in touch with me? Okay. Well, if you're watching this, you kind of already have a way of getting in touch with me, but there's my webpage, bodyandmindtime.com.au, my Facebook page, and my Instagram page, and boom, I've just discovered TikTok. I mean, go me. So, love to hear from you guys. This is an amazing program. It has so much value to it, and I really hope that Body and Mind Time can bring some great things to you. So, get in touch. I look forward to hearing from you. Be safe, stay well, and always give out a smile.